TheReactionary.net, here to help you learn about React.js. Everyone from experts to novices, we're here to help you develop your knowledge. Let Zach Brady show you how to learn the ins and outs of React now.
Hi there web devs, Zach Brady here, back on the Reactionary.net YouTube channel, bringing you another video of React goodness. Now this week I'm going to be doing a video entitled An App in About an Hour, and it was sort of spurred on by a Reddit post made by user 23942. I'm guessing they picked that name because user 23941 was taken, but in any case, they have decided that they wanted to make a React discussion board, and then they posted on the React.js subreddit and said, does anyone know of a tutorial for this? And I said, well, no I don't, but I can make you one. So here we are. We're going to attempt to make a forum type application in about an hour. So we may not get all the way to the end of it. It might not be fully functional, but I don't really want to make the video longer than an hour because, well, you know, an hour's a long time to spend of your time. So yeah, we'll make it just about an hour, and you may notice that there's going to be a few cuts like that last one. And that's mainly because, well, I'm not going to make you watch me install things, and I'm not going to make you watch me and ah whilst if things don't work. So we'll make it so that it's about an hour of actual development of the application rather than an hour of me sitting here start to finish in one continuous shot. And before we get going, I'd just like to point out I'm wearing my Cynical Developer t-shirt. This is a podcast put on by my good friend James Studdard, and I actually featured on one of his episodes, episode 3, the Reactionary Response. I'll put a link for that in the description so you can go and have a listen. This is a great podcast to listen to. He introduces a lot of arcane off-the-wall sort of technologies, or even just mainstream technologies that you may not have used yet, and he gets people in to be able to speak about their different strengths. So mine was React, so you might want to go and have a listen to that. But that's enough talk. Start the clock. We're going to get going here. So what I'll do first of all is I will create myself a new project in WebStorm. This would be my editor of choice. I'm going to call the project Final Forum because this isn't even going to be the final forum, you know what I'm saying? Right, so we've got a new project set up here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a terminal in the folder of Final Forum. Now I have a Create React app already installed on my machine, and you can find instructions for installing Create React app. Just gone ahead and search for Create React app here. You can see it's the top one on DuckDuckGo at least. And here's the repo, and it will give you instructions on how to install Create React app. I'm not going to go through that right now because who's got the time? We've only got an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and run Create React app in here. Of course, I have to give it the folder that we want to install in, which I've just given it dot here, and it's installing. Okay, and we're back. The install is completed now. You can see we have happy hacking written on the screen. So let's have a look, and Create React app has created a whole heap of stuff here. Let's first of all just make sure that everything is going to run. Now, what I will do here is I am going to use a piece of functionality in WebStorm that allows me to run the Npm Task. So this start here, when I double click that, it's the same as me saying npm start. It will do the same thing. Same with build. I'm not going to use build, test, or eject, but just so that you know, I could type npm start, but throughout this video, I'm going to be just using the WebStorm functionality there. So I double click that and it didn't do anything. Stop it now. I don't want to stop and rerun. There we go. It's running in here. Okay, so it's telling me that the app is being served. And so it is. Here is the Create React app just the main, what do you call it? The default stuff that's in there is what I'm going to call it right now. Right, so let's get started. First of all, let's get rid of, now this is WebStorm complaining because it's JSX. Okay, so let's get rid of all this stuff. Hello world. Get rid of this. Don't need the logo SVG because I'm not using the logo anymore. It's already compiled. And hello world, great. So that's recompiled for me, no problems. What I might just do is put that there. I'll put that there. Okay. So don't need the logo logo SVG, so I'll get rid of that. Don't need any of this CSS. I might just bring that over like that. Get rid of all the CSS. Don't need any of that. I will leave that index CSS. That's not hurting anything. Okie dokie. So what I'm going to do is, in the course of us making this application, I'm going to use Bootstrap. Bootstrap is something that I can nice and easily get the application up and running quickly and looking nice. So I'll install npm install bootstrap and jQuery, because the JavaScript files of Bootstrap require jQuery. Just going to switch these here. Yeah. Okay, they're all installed. I'll switch these back. Okay, let's switch back. Now, I just didn't like it because I didn't like my white t-shirt blending into this screen, but I guess I'll just have to deal with it. Or can I put it on the bottom? No, apparently not. That just minimizes it. All right. What I might just do is no, there it is. React app. Okay. I'll leave it like that, and that way when I bring it back up again. Okay. So Bootstrap is reinstalled, and now I just need to bring in Bootstrap in here. Import. Now I need to import the Bootstrap from the dist. So Bootstrap dist JS Bootstrap.js. I think that's the right path. Let's have a look. Bootstrap dist JS Bootstrap. Yep. Okay. Sweet. I need to import the CSS for Bootstrap. Dist CSS Bootstrap. Is it called? That's what it's called, isn't it? Yep. Bootstrap. .css. Now, before we bring in the Bootstrap, we need to bring in jQuery. So we will just import jQuery there. And then there's a little hack we have to do here in order to be able to make Bootstrap be able to find jQuery. We need to attach jQuery to the global object. So I think it's called, if we just go global.jQuery, I think that's it. Let's have a look. Compiling, we've got a problem. Module not found, Bootstrap dist CSS. Oh, because, right, so with the, no, that should be working. Oh, I've misspelled it. Bootstrap, not Bootstrap. And that's not recompiling. So I'll just restart it. Cool. And then I'll take a look at the React app. I'll have to refresh it. That looks like it must have errors in it. Let's have a look here. Requires jQuery. Now, what have I missed out on in that syntax? Well, I'm just having a quick look at one of the other projects I've done this in. Alright, I've got it all completely wrong. Okay. So it actually looks like this. Okay, so we grab the global jQuery is equal to a require from jQuery, and we require in the Bootstrap module, and then the CSS gets imported in that way. So we probably have it. We probably don't even need to require that. We can probably just import it like that. And then this is going to have to go the way that it is here. Cool. There's still something wrong here. jQuery is not defined. Let's just take this back to the way that it was. Okay, that's working. So we've got no time to work out why that was going wrong, but in any case, here's the syntax to be able to make that work. I'll spend some time understanding why that went wrong later. For right now, we need to get going. We've only got an hour. Okay, so let's have a quick look at what we've got here. We've got hello world. So, but we now have Bootstrap in the application as well. So we can make ourselves a panel and make it look like a panel default. This is all Bootstrap syntax here. If you're not familiar with this, getbootstrap.com is your friend. And we'll make a panel body. And we'll put our hello world in the panel body. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so we've got a panel there. Kind of don't want it all the way from end to end there, so we might make ourselves a little thing here. Now, what I'm going to build first is the input of the, like, where you actually like type in the a post, right? So we'll make this a post input or a post editor, I guess that's what we might call that. So then we'll make post editor here. Now you'll notice as I'm doing all this that I'm sort of I'm whacking everything into app.js and just sort of throwing caution to the wind. Now that's partly because, how does that look full screen? Yeah, it's alright. I kind of want it a little bit bigger than that. I'm kind of throwing caution to the wind by just putting everything into app.js, but at the same time, this is kind of a little bit how I actually develop the applications that I build as well. And the reason for that is that I'm just not I'm not spending time optimizing before it needs to be optimized. So once this gets big enough to leave the app.js, then I'll refactor that out. But until that happens, well, I'm just going to chuck everything into app.js. And that's kind of like I iteratively build things out. I find that works quite well for me. So that's one piece of the video you can take away and work in production. So yeah, 20% I think looks good for the margin. So we'll whack that in there. 20%. And look, I'm not going to spend heaps of time making this completely responsive or anything, but let's say that less than 900 pixels, we just get rid of that margin and just make it full screen again. It helps if I can type correctly. Right, pretty sure it recompiled, so we'll go less than 900. No, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? Because it didn't recompile after I typed in that incorrect thing. Just one thing I've noticed about Create React App, it's pretty good for its reloading when you type things in, but if you break it, if you type any code in incorrectly, then it's broken for good. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in one EM on the top and bottom, and then in here we're just going to say 1 EM like that. Yeah, cool. All right, so not 100% responsive, but it's better than nothing. So that'll do. Cool. Let's do some more work. In here, we are going to need an input. We'll make it of type text. Actually, no, we'll make this a text area, shall we? And then we'll also have a button. It's going to be, let's make it a success button so it's nice and green. And this is going to be our post button. Let's take a look at that now. Cool, so CSS could be better, but that looks fine as far as the things that we wanted on the screen. So let's fix up that CSS real quick. Now I'm going to make this a form control so it looks a bit prettier. Yeah, that's good. Okay. And we will also post editor button, shall we call it? And post editor input. Okay. So I don't think we need the I don't think we need the post editor input because that kind of looks all right now. Yeah, cool. I just want to put this button on the right and down a little bit. So we'll go ahead and do that. Let's go here and we will post editor. Did we call it post editor button? Yeah, we did. Post editor button. I'll float it to the right. Give it a margin on the top. Make it 1 EM. Yeah, cool. That looks nice. And okay, so we have the entry box for our forum so far. So okay, so we've got a place that we can put in the post. So now let's make a post itself. We will actually I want to make this its own panel. So we'll make another panel here. Just make that a bit smaller. So we've got another panel, and this is going to be hello, I'm a post. I need to put in the panel body as well. Panel body. Cool. Didn't catch whether that recompiled or not. Let's just have a look. Doesn't look like it did, so I'll just restart that. And I'll say again, when I'm restarting this, it's just running npm start again. So it's like me closing it down and then running npm start again. So cool. Hello, I am a post. Let's give this the same treatment as. Actually, let's just have a look and see if the same treatment looks good. 20%, I believe it was. Where's my percent button? There we go. Let's not put that on the panel body. Let's put it on the default. Yeah, I think that'll do. Maybe I can make it a little bit wider than the post box. Let's not waste time making that look good. That's something for the CSS guys to worry about. Let's just that'll do. So we will give that the same treatment as the post editor. So let's make this a post body. I need to go into the app CSS again and post body. Put that in there, and we'll do the same thing as what we did for the post editor as far as making it pseudo responsive. Looks like that's not recompiling again. Just watching here, waiting for it to load up. Cool, done, sweet. So we've got the ability to be able to, or at least a post sort of looks a way. Okay, so now we've got an input and a single post, but this post button doesn't do anything, this input doesn't do anything. So let's start working towards that. I think what we might do first is let's make a number of posts show up, and in order to be able to do that to begin with, let's refactor out the post into its own component here. This is what I was talking about, where I gradually refactor things out and tease the parts apart. So I'll make a post JSX here. We'll import React from React. And we'll make this just a stateless functional component to begin with, because all it's going to do is display some stuff. Return. Actually, don't even need a return, do I? So I can just use the parentheses. Okay, and then I'll grab what I want for my post out of the app.js. Put it in here. And then I need to export on the default the post so that I can import it into the app.js. I'll put it in after the CSS there. Now, for an explanation on why I structure my projects like this, there is a post that I made on the Reactionary that explains the whole thing. I'll try and put a link in the description for you so that you can go ahead and read that if you're interested, or else you can just yell at me in the comments. Cool. So now, hopefully, that will mean that there will be no change to our application after the refactor. This not being the best way to work out whether we've broken the application after the refactor, just by the way. Probably would have been better to do it with tests, but we're not doing tests right now because they take time. So what I want to do is I want to be able to pass an array of messages to, well, I want to have an array of messages that I can then pass the message to a post. So let's make a constructor here so that I can define some state. And then what I might do is I'll just put in one entry in here just to test things out. Put in a hello world. And this dot state dot posts will be the post body. No, that's not how to do it. We're going to map this dot state dot posts to a post. Oops, daisy. Okay, and then we'll call the prop post body. Yeah, what's going on here? Oh, right, I haven't done a arrow there. Let's make this look a bit pretty. Cool. Need a bracket there. Right, one thing that React will complain at me about is the fact that I don't have a key on each of those components, so I'll just use the other map property there. Put an index on each of them, and then in the post I haven't done props. I should really do prop types here. Once again, just anything to shave a few seconds off because I want to get as much of this tutorial as I can done. Cool, that should be enough to be able to get hello world in there. Excellent. So now that we've got hello world in the state, let's just initialize the state as being empty. Yep, no more posts. And then we want a way to be able to add posts to this to the messages queue. So this is where our input thing here comes in. Now I'm tempted to let's just do the we'll do the all the functionality in here first, and then we'll refactor it out into its own component. So I've got to bind this to the component so that I can use add post, and then we will say with add post we're going to say new posts equals this dot state dot posts, and then I'm going to say actually what I might do is I might do new state so that I can object assign the this dot state. I may change this as I go on, but this is what I'm going to do for now. Right. Okay, and then so now what I can do is I can go new state dot posts dot push, and then we're going to say this dot state dot new post new post body. You'll see where this is going in a minute, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to say new post body on the state as well. And then in here we're going to say new state dot new post body is equal to empty, and then we're going to say this dot set state new state. So that way, well, actually you'll see what I'm going to do. So on click add post. So now the handler for the post button calls into here, and it goes ahead and adds on to the posts whatever is in the new post body. Now what is in the new post body? That is going to be defined by having a on posts editor input. Well, let's call it handle post editor input change. Pass in the event if, and then we're going to say that. Well, let's just make this simple. We'll say this dot set state, and we will put in the new post body is going to be a target value. So the value of the text area, which is going to be, was going to have its on change handler bound to handle post editor input change. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining how all this works. I'm hoping that you as a viewer are of an intermediate level or advanced level of React knowledge, and you should be able to work out what's going on here. If you're not, and you need to get to that level, then I would encourage you to go ahead and start watching my tutorial series on YouTube, or reading the blog post tutorial series, both of which I'll leave links for in the description. I might put a link for the tutorial series on a card up there. So that adds new messages, so that's working. Cool. And then the only thing that wasn't happening was the value of the new post body was not clearing itself out. So why don't we this dot state dot new post body. I think that'll fix it. Either that or it'll make this not usable. Yeah, now there we go. Cool. Testing. Sweet. So now we have the ability to post new messages to our message board. Hurrah! That is the first hurdle of making a message board. Okay, so we now have an app that posts all this data. Now, let's not let this get too out of hand and out of control here. So this post input here is really not the concern of the app itself. So let's refactor that out into a post editor. We'll make a components directory. And we'll make a post editor JSX. Now this component is not going to be stateless functional, and we know that already because we've already built it. So post editor extends component, and I noticed that I've spelt component incorrectly up here. We are going to want to, let's make it keep its own state for the value of the or will we? Let's see how it goes when we refactor it out. So this is all going to go into the render function. We will be returning it. Okay, so what do we got here? We've got the value and a handle input change and an add post. So let's go with the easy stuff first. The add post is going to be passed in on the props. Add post, because we're not going to keep the messages or the posts array on the state of the post editor, so we know that we're going to pass in add post at least. So then this becomes this props add post. But there's nothing saying that the post body doesn't go in here. So let's just go ahead and grab the handle post editor input change, because this is now very much the concern of the post editor. We'll grab the binding call. And then we will also let's have a look here. So we don't need post body in this anymore. And the add post doesn't care about clearing down post body anymore. What we'll do is we'll make new post body come in from a variable that's passed into add post, and then within handle input change here, we're going to change the state. We'll need to add the state for the new post body. And then so add post goes in there. So what we'll actually want to do is, what we might do is we'll do create post as another instance method. We're going to create the post, and what we're going to do is we'll make this dot create post, all right? And here's where it gets clever. We say this dot props dot add post, this dot state dot new post body, and then we clear out the. I've got a semicolon there, and here we clear it out after we've used it. Yeah, so it changes, it still updates, But now we call create post, which calls the add post back up on app.js, which adds it, and we're passing it down there. So that should be fine. I'll rebuild here. Wait for it to rebuild. Alright, post editor is not defined. Well, yeah, that makes sense because I haven't brought it in. Post editor. Components. Just realized I've incorrectly named this folder. Now, WebStorm will go ahead and refactor all the instances of components. So just so you know, that's going to do that automatically for me. So if you're following along, first of all, you're crazy. Second of all, you'll need to go through and rename all the different places that we've used post component instead of components, if you happen to follow me exactly. Post editor has a lint warning because I'm not exporting the component. Rebuild again. Cool. That is running. Test. And it's still working. Excellent. So that's all refactored out. And then this here, we could probably even componentize this one step further. And let's do so. So I'm going to make another component called thread display. Because if you think about it, what we're viewing here is really a thread rather than like, this might be like one post that you click into and you see all the different entries. So we'll make a components folder and we're going to make a thread display. I didn't give it a extension. Okay. Import React. This is going to be probably a stateless functional component. Or is it? Whatever. We'll work it out once we've done it. Misplaced a apostrophe there. Thread display. And then we're going to grab this here. Okay. Now, don't need these in app.js anymore because they're in here now. We'll need to change those relative paths to be the correct ones. I need to go up one more. Cool. Now, so this state map posts, yeah, so the thread, okay, so then yeah, I need more than a stateless functional component, don't I? Really? Because I need to have state here. This is what the render function is going to look like once I'm done. Okay, and then this is going to be all within a thread display class. Cool. Components, just component, there's only one. And we're going to export thread display. I will pass in thread display. Oh, well, I will render a thread display here. Now, this add post now belongs to thread display. And so does actually all of this constructor. An app more or less becomes a stateless functional component at this point. I won't refactor that right now because I know that app is inevitably going to become a little bit more complicated. So it's probably not going to stay a stateless functional component for very long. What's going wrong here? I once again have not imported the component that I need. Thread display. Components, thread display. Cool. All right, let's have a look at that. Test, still working. Awesome. Okay, so there's one more thing that I'd like to do as part of the refactoring here. We haven't taken any of the CSS out here, so let's just do that. I'm going to make some styles directories. I'll make a post CSS. And that's going to hold the post body. And the media query as well for the pseudo responsiveness. But I'll only have the post body one in there. And we also need to bring that into the component itself. We got one, and then styles, and then post. Oops, got rid of an apostrophe there. Ah, get the right button. There, okay. And then the post editor has some styles as well. Post editor CSS. And I think all the rest of this is all post editor stuff. Cool. So the app should still look the same, but it doesn't. And that is because I haven't imported the CSS into here. Test still works. Cool. So we have an application that, well, it will allow you to post into a thread. But what would be pretty cool is if we could store that data somewhere. That'd kind of make it like a real app. Now I know we haven't got you know, multiple posts and stuff yet, but I feel like going down this route now is kind of a little bit more interesting in the fact that we're able to actually get real stuff talking to other real stuff. So, you know, we've sort of got as a decent amount of the app done at this point. All we would need to do from here is create another, like a thread display, if you will, that opens up the different threads. But I think what you've seen here is enough for you to go away and do that yourself. And so I'd like to, if I could, move on to something a little bit more interesting. What we're going to do is set up ourselves a Firebase database to store our posts in. This is really exciting. I'm a fairly newcomer to Firebase and what it can do, but I was so excited by what I found right from the beginning. So let's go ahead and we'll create a new project. We're going to call it Final Forum. And I am living in the UK, so I will make it in the UK and we'll create the project. Okay, and we're back. So now we've got the Firebase project all set up. We're going to add Firebase to our web app. And this is taking a little while as well, but this is going to generate some script that we can go ahead and put into our application. Now we'll come back to this in a moment, and I'll either find a clever way of graying this out, or I'll delete the application after I'm done so that I don't get spammed here. But we don't have Firebase in our final forum application yet, so let's go ahead and install that. Npm Firebase, and I'll probably cut this out as well. Okay, so now we have Firebase installed into our application. Let's go ahead and go into app.js here, and we're going to bring in Firebase into our application here. It is kind of an application concern because it's this is going to be how we define our connection to our database. So we're going to bring in Firebase app, and we'll also bring in actually, will we? No, we're going to need Firebase app, don't we? We might need Firebase database as well. I will need to look up after this video whether I actually need this as well. I'm pretty confident I do. This might be a good study project for you to work out whether you need that as well. So here's one of the reasons why I didn't make this a SFC earlier, was because I knew that we were going to have to come back and do something like this. So first we need to put the config into our code. Now there are better ways of doing this, but you will need to consult your friendly local browser to work out nicer ways of doing it than just putting it into your component, because obviously this is all your key and everything. I'm sure there's got to be better ways of doing this, but unfortunately, well, I mean, at this point I haven't had enough experience with Firebase to know a better way of doing it. An initial Google found that basically the stance of Firebase was, well, it's not that bad, don't worry about it. I'm sure there's better ways of doing it, but anyway, that's a topic of discussion for another day. Let's instantiate our Firebase app, initialize app, config. What have I done wrong here? I have spelt Firebase correctly. Why is this not finding it then? Firebase got installed correctly. Okay, let's see what happens when we rebuild anyway. They're going to instantiate the database as well. This.app.database. And then we're going to pass down database on a prop. Now you might say that this might be a good time to perhaps refactor into a flux pattern to be able to not have to pass the database down on props and so forth. And you would be probably right, but I'm running out of time to do things here, so this is going to be how it is. We're going to make we're going to start the database on the posts branch of our Firebase database. And then what we'll need to do is we're also going to say that when the components will mount, we're going to grab the update local state. We haven't made update local state yet. Okay, maybe we'll make update local state first. Oh, I see. Okay. So in the, okay, let's just type this out. So we're going to update local state, and this is going to be just a instance function, an instance method even, that updates the local state of the posts. And that's because we're going to be updating the local state of the post in a couple of different places. Now, why is this? Oh, I know what's going on here. So we're going to have snapshot response. Now, in case you're wondering, this is all coming from something I prepared earlier. Because, as I say, I'm a bit new to Firebase, so I knew I was going to have a little bit of trouble doing all this verbatim. So, but yet I have taken the time to understand what all this is doing. It's just that, well, I wrote it last night. So, what I might do is I might just, seeing as how I've let you peek behind the curtain now, and you know where all this is coming from, I might just write this out. Post body split. Okay, so this part here is going to take all the carriage returns out of the text that we're writing, because we've got a text area, right? But when you put carriage returns in, they won't get rendered into the posts that we are trying to display. So what we will do instead is split the posts down, and then we can go into the post component, and we can render each of the parts of the post as separate divs, so it gives the illusion of of there being that extra the extra space there. So that's that. So this updates local state. So just let me make sure that I haven't missed anything here. No, I don't think I have. So what does all this do? So when component will mount, we go to the database ref, which is the reference that we made to the post node on our Firebase database. And basically what we're saying here is every time a child gets added, we're going to call this callback, which grabs the value of the response that we did. Oh, sorry, grabs the response value here from the child that gets added, and then we pass that into update local state. It comes in here, and it right, so it grabs the posts, and then it will break down the response body that comes back, so it'll make it so that it's in, you know, all the different little pieces, and then I see what's going on here. I've misspelled that. And then it'll add that broken down post onto our state, and go ahead and it will render the post here. So we need to go into the post and make the changes in order for it to be able to display things correctly. So now we're needing to map this, and we will so post part and IDX. And then within here, we will, let's just make this a bit easier to read. Within here, we're going to return a div with the post part in it. Yeah. So all things being equal, that should now... Oh, there's one other thing we need to do. We need to change this add post part here, because this is still setting the local state, but it's not putting the post into... Oh, that was my... So there's one thing that was the end timer for my hour, so I'm going to have to wrap this up fairly soon. So we have to change this add post, and so we're going to change this to save even more time because we're now running over time. I'm just going to copy paste this in here and call this post body. Right, so the add post, it will send in a post body, and it will destructure the post to save off that. Does it make sense? No, it's going to put it into a post body, so it's going to make it an object so that every time we put a post body on, it will then have like a post body tree that goes underneath each of the because the Firebase. Let's show you the Firebase database here. So when we go into the Firebase database, and if we want to create a posts, and this is just a JSON object, and so when we go into the posts node, then we'll have a whole heap of post body objects that are going to go on underneath there. So let's try and get this started here. See how many things fail. So the build works all right. The application doesn't. Cannot read property database of undefined. So this didn't fix itself. Okay, so here's the two things that I did to make that work. First of all, I just copy pasted this exact text over the top of this. There must have been like a hidden character in it or something, and all this sprung into action. The other thing I did was I had said prop in here, right here, instead of props. So that wasn't working. So now the application is up and running. I'm expecting it to fail when I do this though, because I just wanted to show you one thing that's kind of important. So if we were to do test, see here, permission denied. Right, so if we go into the Firebase console, there is not usage rules here, and we've got authorization rules. So basically you have to be authorized to use this this application at the moment. I'm just going to turn the authorization off. This is probably not recommended, but I'm probably not going to have time to be able to show you the how to set up authorization in this particular video. But now if we go again, we do test. Now what's it saying? Cannot read state of undefined. Okay, so this does state of posts. Because I haven't got update local state bound to the instance of this. Cool, that'll recompile. Aha! And now, see, did you see that load up? Let's open up another browser window here. See how it loads up? Check this out. Check this out, left screen. I love that. This is pretty cool. Right screen. Oh, and I suppose I can show you the it doesn't include the extra white space. Oh well, there's ways that you'll be able to work out adding in extra white space. I've shown you the code that allows the carriage returns, so I'm sure you can work out how to do the white space from there. And you'll see in the real-time database here that this is all getting added in up here. I mean, this is why it's so cool. I really love the Firebase functionality here. So yeah, and so there you have it. That has been the Reactionary.net's first app in about an hour. It didn't end up being a full app. It seems like actually to be able to build a full app in about an hour is a pretty hard task. I'm quite happy to come back and revisit this. As I say, I don't really want to make it a much longer than an hour video, so I won't continue on. But we could have continued on and gone ahead and introduced Firebase authentication into that, which would have needed us to be able to add on React router, and then we could have had like a login page, and the login would have gone through and checked authentication with Firebase Auth and only let you into that thread display when you were authenticated. So there's ways that we could have done that, and I'd be happy to do another video where we go ahead and do that. So let me know in the comments, or hit me up on any of the social medias, and you'll be able to find them on the reactionary.net up the top right there. I've got all my social medias sitting there waiting to go. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to see more videos from me, go ahead and subscribe. And other than that, I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed playing around with React.js and Firebase to make well, as much as we could of a forum application. I'll see you next time.
Let Zach Brady show you how to learn the ins and outs of React now.